It's BMG Radio. All new, bright and shiny. Oh yeah. Let's talk about it. This looks amazing. And it sounds amazing. Brought to you by Bear Movie Guy. Hi, I'm the Bear Movie Guy, and yeah, that's a different intro, isn't it? And that's music. That's awesome. And you may notice right now, boom, look at that. That's different. That's not my normal. If you've been following, you know that's not my normal kind of wallpaper that I use for this. First off, let's get to the music. This music right here. Oh, that's awesome. I love this. My friend, the very talented Tim Early, from the Late Reviews and Penn Tilt Zoom, was nice enough to record and write and record and send me this song that he wrote specifically for me for my intro. So I have a brand new intro song. I got a brand new exit that comes at the end of it that I'm going to be using. And this man is the best. It's such an awesome song. I've been listening to it so much. And yeah, Tim Hurley, you're the man. And I'll get to you a bit more later. Yeah, because you're awesome. And now, you also notice it looks different too. Doesn't just sound different, it looks different. Well, that is courtesy of my friend Dan. Dan Bardo. I asked him, hey dude, do you think you could do something for my Bearded Movie Guy? And he came up with a whole bunch of things that look like this for different seasons. And the regular one is this one, but I'm going to switch right now to the Halloween one, which is this one. Because it's freaking awesome. And yeah, so Dan, thank you so much. That's awesome. And Tim, thank you so much. That's awesome. And yes, it's all new, bright and shiny. I like it. All right, so I'm not really doing news today. I don't really have any news I want to talk about except for the news that this Saturday is Halloween. And I'm going to go into something right now that if you know me really well, like if you know me, you might get bored with what I'm about to tell you. But if you don't know me, this is going to come as like a mind-blowing experience. Halloween is 2 days away, and my wedding anniversary is 2 days away. Now, how do those two things coincide? I got married on Halloween. And how did I get married on Halloween? Was that a big coincidence? No, it wasn't. So I thought I would share a little bit of my Halloween life story, how much I love Halloween, and how I got married on Halloween. So if you know me, you're going to be like, oh, I've heard this so many times. And you know what? Fast forward to the next part. But if you haven't, you know what? Here you go. Okay, so the year I met my wife, we were both working in a camp. Right before we started working at the camp, my sister was nice enough to get married. Nice enough, it was nice. She got married. And I was in the wedding party. And my mom decided to be a smartass because I don't know why she thought it'd be funny, but she was poking and prodding me and she going, when are you going to get married? Now, my mom doesn't sound a bit like that, but it's just my impression of my mom being annoying. I don't know, maybe she does sound like, I don't know. Anyways, so she said, when are you going to get married? Now, she knew very well that I did not have a girlfriend and hadn't had one for quite a while. And I was annoyed at that and stuff, and so I said, I'm going to get married on Halloween. And it was a pure joke. It was meant as nothing more than just so there, I'm going to get married on Halloween. And my mom promptly told me that no one would ever marry me on Halloween, and I was like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm just, you said when I'm going to get married, so I got married on Halloween. So, that was that. That summer, that happened in June. That summer, I met my wife. Now, I met my wife. She wasn't my wife back then, obviously. We were both working in a camp, and she had a boyfriend who was a jerk, and I was just ultra cool, and we hit it off, and slowly we became friends, and then she wanted more than that because I'm awesome. No, let's just be honest. Like, we both kind of fell in love with each other in a lot of ways, but so she dumped the other guy because he was a jerk, and she started going out with me. Now, 2 weeks into going out in the summer, that summer, we were walking one night when it was our time off from our camp that we worked at. And she kind of just turned to me out of the blue and said, you know what would be really cool? To get married on Halloween. And I was like, whoa, what the? Yeah. And so I was like, what are you talking about? And she said she had been talking to a friend And they were just talking about when cool wedding dates would be. And she brought up Halloween would be a really cool time to get married. And now I was fully in love with her by this point already before she said that. But she said that. And then I told her the story of what my mom said. And so we went, well, let's do it. Let's get married on Halloween. And so, you know, she went, when does Halloween fall on a Saturday? Because most people get married on a Saturday. And it was 3 years away from that date. It was, well, not that date, 3 years ago. It was 3 Halloweens away before it was be on a Saturday. And so we're like, yeah, that's when we'll get married. This was 2 weeks into our relationship. And that's when I got married. Now, I had a lot of problems getting married on Halloween. People freaked out. People thought I was a bad person. People thought I was going to have vampires come to my wedding. Like, people dress up as vampires and clowns. And I got a whole bunch of stuff. There's even rumors that my wife wore a black wedding dress, which she didn't. She wore a white one, which I'll show you right here. But I got married on Halloween, which is awesome, but also not great when you have little kids, which I do now. And actually, last year was the first year I got to actually go out and celebrate my anniversary on Halloween properly, because my daughters are now old enough that they want to go trick-or-treating without me, and I pawned them off on somebody else's parents. And I think we're doing that this year too. So, but yeah, I got married on Halloween, and that's my little Halloween story. The people who don't know me, now you're just blown away. I got married on Halloween, and I knew 2 weeks in that who I was marrying. It's one of those weird things that it's a story that happened, it's true, and everyone goes, I can't believe it's true. And it's, yeah, it's true. We picked our wedding date 2 weeks in. We got married on Halloween, and 17 years this Halloween I've been married. And I wouldn't change, or wouldn't, well, yeah, if I could get superpowers, that'd be cool, but I wouldn't take it back for a heartbeat. I love my wife, and I love being married to her, and I love having 2 daughters. But yeah, 17 years. I am 40, and I've been married for 17 of those years. That's pretty awesome. So that's all I wanted to say. So I got brand new stuff, and I'm talking about my marriage. Yeah, this is just starting awesome. All right, now I'm going to move on to actual movie stuff. That could make a cool movie, though, I guess. I don't know. I don't know who would play me. Tell me, who should play me in a movie? Go ahead. And then I'll contact them and sell the rights to my story. All right, first up, the first thing I wanted to talk about that was not married-related news. A friend of mine, Tyler Listen, who I'm going to plug his channel right now, Tyler Listen. He's a movie reviewer. He's a very smart guy. He's one half of Pantilt Zoom. And go check him out. I put an annotation to his channel right there. He wanted me to talk about the fact that they're splitting up movies and the sequel culture. And you know what? Okay, so just to talk about that, I'm going to first talk about the first movie that I knew that did this officially. I may be wrong, but that was what was it? Twilight. And okay, now I'll say I didn't see the first Twilight movie originally. My wife saw it without me. And then she wasn't going to have someone to be with her, so I ended up seeing 2 and 3. And 3 I saw in the theater. And she told me it was the last one because she didn't read the books. She's like, it's the last one. And we finished watching it, and then they're like, more Twilight and Breaking Dawn, part 1. And I was like, what? And then I found out they were splitting it into 2 parts. And why did they split that movie into 2 parts? Money. Cha-ching. So Twilight did it. They broke it up into 2, and that, you know, sucked. And I did see both of those movies, and that really sucked. But studios started going, hey, we could break, like, books into 2. Like, it was, I guess, a thing that, like, they never figured out before somehow. I don't know. And Twilight had to show them a way. That's sad in a lot of ways and just promotes how evil that book is. But all of a sudden, movie companies started going, hey, we can break these book series, because all of a sudden book series are the big thing. So the Hunger Games, Twilight, Maze Runner, whatever. It's like, let's turn these young adult book series into movies, and then if there are only 3 of them, we'll split the last one into 2. And it's become a thing. Hunger Games has done it now. And I gotta be honest, although it's not a book series, The Hobbit did it, okay? The Hobbit is a 317-page book, okay? Lord of the Rings was a 1,000-page plus book that was split into 3, so it made perfect sense to split it into 3 movies. And those were still like 4 hours long, and I was fine with it. The Hobbit was 300 plus pages. Now, if they wanted to explore all of what was in The Hobbit, get it all in there, I could have easily seen them doing 2.5 hour movies that would have kept the book pristine, would have been great. And if they weren't so desperate to tie it together so badly to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which they didn't have to do, they already had enough tie. They didn't need to put characters in that weren't in the story just for this. Oh, we'll tie it together. We'll make it a nice. We'll put 3 movies. I understand why you want 3 movies. That's a whole extra movie for money. That's a whole extra movie. But there's a thing, right? And I firmly believe it is money-making ventures, but it's also an art form. And when you do something like turn The Hobbit into 3 movies instead of 2 when they could have done it perfectly in 2, and then make 3 movies that each last like 3 hours long, you're degrading the art form. You're thinning you're diluting the product. You're diluting the art. You're making something great muddied just for money. And I'm all for making movies, and I'm all for them making tons of money. But there's a point when you got to look at the art and look at the money and kind of balance the two. And they didn't balance it at all. They just went straight over to the money. Like, oh yeah, we can stretch it, no problem. What else can we throw in the Hobbit movie to make it longer and to connect it to Lord of the Rings? That's what they did. Now, splitting movies, it's not going away. You want to know why? Because you guys and me keep watching them. When we stop watching them, it'll go away, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. And as long as they keep on getting book series and they think, hey, we can split that up and find reasons to make it longer, even though, I haven't seen the 3rd Hunger Games movie yet. I couldn't be bothered. I'll watch it, but I was waiting for the 4th one to come out, and I still am. I'm going to watch them all again and probably show them to my daughters, and it's going to be a thing. But there was no need to split it, from what I understand, from almost everyone, including fans of the book and series. You didn't need to split that into 3 or 4 movies. You could have easily done that in 3. Make it tighter, make it better, faster paced, but then you lose that money from the last movie. And it's driving me nuts. Same thing with sequel culture. That's the other thing Tyrell wanted me to talk about. And sequel culture is you're always looking for the sequel. And it once upon a time there used to be if a movie was good, so Lethal Weapon came out, and if Lethal Weapon would have bombed, there wouldn't have been a Lethal Weapon 2. They weren't even planning a Lethal Weapon 2 until they went, hey, this made money. Same as Die Hard. Die Hard, they never set up a sequel in Die Hard. They didn't have to. Die Hard was a standalone thing. Die Hard made money. They went, oh, we can make a sequel. That's cool, fine. I understand it. You want money, you're oh, sequels make money, people already know the characters. I understand that. But now, they're already planning sequels to movies that haven't even finished yet. And they're trying, how can we plan the sequel? And even movies I heard apparently Gem and the Hologram tries to set up a sequel, and no one saw that movie. Apparently Art from ATZ Reviews saw it, and he was like, they're trying to set up a sequel, even though it made no money. Everything is all about the sequel because everything wants to be a franchise. So sequel culture used to be, if your movie was good, you'd get a sequel. You didn't set up the sequel, you just made a really good movie, and then if it made money, you got a sequel. Now, it's all about trying to set up the sequel within the first movie. And I'll be honest, movies are suffering for it because you're diluting there's the word diluting, but you're basically trying to keep stuff that should be in the first movie for the second movie. Oh, we'll save that. We'll wait for that. So it's don't water down the product, people. If you want a second movie, make an awesome first movie. People will want the second movie. Don't try and sell someone a second movie in the first movie. Just make a really good first movie. And that's what the sequel culture and the franchise culture, I think, is even, because sequels used to be a thing. Now it's all about franchises. It's not even about sequels. That's why we have Fast 7 and things like that. It's all about the franchise. And when a franchise ends, because eventually they have to end, Harry Potter ended, and now they're trying to make other Harry Potter movies. It's over. But no, we'll find a way because we already have all these people attached to Harry Potter, so we want to fix it. So we want to get Harry Potter in there. And yeah, I'm tired of it, and I don't think it's going away because they just keep on seeing the money. Like Fast 7 was one of the biggest grossing movies of the year. So of course, when I was talking about the fact they're going to make Fast 8, 9, and 10, why wouldn't you in business sense? Because they make money. So I'm tired of it, but it's not going away. We have to make it go away. We the people, for the movie people, need to make this go away. It's not going to happen though, but we don't want to. All right, moving on. All right, feeding my addiction. I'm going to talk about the fact that someone else started feeding my addiction this week. And I got to give a big shout out to CP from Well I Like It Reviews. And he sent me Aladdin and Friday the 13th, 1, 2, and 3 on Blu-ray. So he fed my addiction. Thank you very much, brother. I did a whole video on this. I unboxed him, and CP is awesome. If you don't know CP channel, I'm going to link it here. He's awesome. His channel is really interesting, really gives you kind of who's going to like the movie. And he gave me these awesome movies, so that fed my addiction. Other than that, I fed my addiction quite a bit this week. There was a deal on a certain channel that is, okay, it was Amazon. But I ordered these things a while ago, and I finally got them. So first up, if you've never heard of it, Grave of the Fireflies is one of the most beautiful, sad movies you're probably ever going to see. And it's about orphans in World War II. And it's animated. It's done by the same guys who do Studio Ghibli. It is just beautiful and heartbreaking, and it's a completely different look at war because it's all from the children's perspective of their dad's out in the Navy and their mom gets killed, and what do? They're back in Japan. So it is beautiful, and I got that on Blu-ray, and I'm so happy to have it on Blu-ray. I'm going to show it to my daughters before Remembrance Day this year. Also from Amazon, I got a few things. They have like a deal where you buy 3 for $20, and that's, close enough to $5. So I got my Kryptonite. It's like $6.66 per movie. So I got Elysium and Premium Rush and Moon. Now, if you haven't seen Moon, I highly, highly recommend. And I've been wanting it for a while on Blu-ray. Premium Rush and Elysium are both fun films. I like Elysium a lot. I got digital copies. Now, this is the way it's going to work. I've been getting digital copies and trying to give them away, and for sometimes they don't work in other people's countries, like my buddy Brian Lomax wouldn't work in his country. So instead of me giving it to one person, I'm going to just put it right here. So here are the digital copies, and if you take them and try them and they work, just let me know, hey, I took it and it worked. You can tell me if it didn't work too, and that may save someone from a different place. But now the Premium Rush one says it's done, but a lot of time they extend these lately. So I'm putting both of them there. And if you want these as digital copies, please help yourself. Just let me know you took it. That would be awesome. And lastly, I went to Best Buy, and yeah, they had Halloween. And not just Halloween movies, but the movie Halloween. And I've wanted this for a long time. I was taking it to the library to show my wife, and now I bought it. And they also had Beetlejuice for a really good price. So I got both of those, and that was my holiday shopping done. And yeah, I'm quite excited to hopefully watch Halloween with my wife. Maybe tonight, hopefully, maybe. Ooh, no, probably not. She's got to work tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night. And because she's never seen it. And that has been feeding my addiction this week. I got a bunch of movies and I'm so happy to feed my addiction. Next, we're going 60 Seconds of Awesome. Oh, it's better more, guys. 60 Seconds of Awesome. This week, we have a suggestion for 60 Seconds of Awesome. It's going to be awesome. Let's hear it. So this week, I got a suggestion from my buddy Tim Hurley, who I'm going to talk about again in a minute. But Tim Hurley suggested that 60 Seconds of Awesome this week should be Jason Statham. And I cannot deny, Tim, that Jason Statham is awesome. Jason Statham has done so many action cool movies, from the Transporter franchise to the Expendables to basically anything where he goes, oh yeah, and he just kicks someone's butt. It was like, we have like Death Race not 2000, just Death Race. But Jason Statham has been kicking butt and looking awesome for the last decade. And he still does a really good job. Like, some of his movies are not that great, but the kicking butt is usually always great. And he's a decent actor too. He can actually act. He's not just a pretty face, although he's a pretty face. My wife thinks he's very handsome, and my daughters think he has very nice abs, which he does, I guess. So I can't deny that. But he is totally a completely badass actor, and he completely belongs in this week's 60 Seconds of Awesome. That's me and Bert Morgas, 60 Seconds of Awesome. You suggest someone for next week, and he'll maybe do it. Well, he probably will. Let's be honest. He likes people. He'll do what they want. All right, this brings us to YouTuber of the Week, and my YouTuber of the Week has to be Tim Hurley from the Late Reviews and Pantozoom. Why? Because he's awesome, but also because he made my theme, and let's just listen to it again. Oh, that's awesome. I love this theme. Yeah, he is just awesome. He is one of my favorite YouTubers. You're not going to find a better guy than Tim Hurley. He's just really nice. He's just, I don't even know how to speak about Tim Hurley. He's such an awesome guy. No, I'm really honored that he's my friend, and he's just really, his videos are fun to watch. They're informative, and what he loves, sure, he loves Michael Bay, and I don't love Michael Bay, but you know what? I respect the fact of how much he loves Michael Bay movies, and they've made me look at Michael Bay movies a little bit differently. He is definitely a YouTuber that you should be watching if you've never seen him stuff. He looks at current movies, he looks at older movies, and yeah, he does amazing music covers of just metal music covers, which the guy is talented. I was talking to him a while ago, and I just told him that God kind of talented him too much. He can skateboard, he does these if you haven't seen his covers that he made for some of his own Blu-rays, he makes his own covers for some of his Blu-rays, and they're freaking sweet. And then he makes videos and does music, and just the guy is incredibly talented, and he's my YouTuber of the week. All right, next on the Letterboxd. I watched a bunch of movies this week, so I'm going to get through them really quickly because I know this video is going a bit long. All right, so I watched Back to the Future 2 on the day that we went to the future. I sat down with my daughter. She'd never seen the second one yet, and we watched it. Really great time. You know, Back to the Future 2. Totally fun. I give it 3.5 beards. Next, I watched the new Poltergeist movie. What a waste. Like, waste of a cast. An unnecessary remake. The first one's perfect. You don't need to mess with it. Poor Sam Rockwell just trying his best to work with crap, and it's ugh. Yeah, 2 beards, and that's being incredibly generous. Next, I watched Friday the 13th, Part 3, which I'd never seen before, and again, CP sent me this, and I got up early on Saturday morning, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to watch it. And I actually woke my wife up because she heard screaming from the TV. But yeah, it's totally fun. It's supposed to be in 3D, and you can watch it actually in 3D if you got the crappy 3D glasses. And I watched in regular 2D version, but it's so funny because like a lot of the effects they did were for 3D, so you could see like where the effects were. It's a fun movie. That's where Jason gets his hockey mask. I was wondering when that was finally going to happen. He gets his hockey mask. It's a good time. If you like Friday the 13th movies, I enjoyed it. It's 3 beards out of 5. Next we watched The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. This is the original one with Danny Kaye. My wife's a big fan of Danny Kaye. And I don't know, I liked the remake with Ben Stiller. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie. This one is much more just set pieces that, like, the story is there purely for Danny Kaye to do fun stuff. And, but that's okay. It works for what it is. It's not as fluid a story as the remake is. But I give it 3 beards out of 5. I enjoyed it. Next, I watched a documentary called The Elephant in the Living Room. And it's all about people in America who own exotic pets. Everything from snakes, venomous snakes, to tigers and lions. And just the reality of, like, there are very little laws. You can own you need a dog license in the States. Every state requires you to have a dog license. Most states do not require you to have a lion license. You can own a lion and have it live in your house, and they won't do anything about it unless it escapes and tries to kill people. It shows both sides of the story, and it's just a really interesting documentary. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you give it a watch. I give it 4 beards out of 5. Next, I watched The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Totally fun time. Totally like one-liners and Arnold being awesome and muscles, and yeah, I remember watching this. I have real fond memories of watching this when I was a kid. I've watched it lots of times since. And not a great movie in any stretch, but really enjoyable. And Richard Donner does a great job as the bad host. And I give it 3 beards out of 5. And then I was kind of on a muscle kick. I wanted to watch something muscly. And so I watched Demolition Man. So we watched Running Man and then Demolition Man. And Demolition Man, I watched with Sylvester Stallone, the other muscle-bound guy from the 80s. It's so much fun. It's so stupid in a lot of ways, but it's so funny in the way they say the future is going to be. And some of the things are true that they said was going to be in the future. And some of the things are completely wrong. I still have no clue what the 3 seashells are for. But yeah, fun story. Again, I give it 3 beards out of 5. And lastly, I watched Jet Li's Unleashed, which is probably Jet Li's biggest acting movie he's ever done, where he's got some acting chops. He does some really good acting aside from his action. His action is insane because some of this, he fights like he hasn't ever fought before, because the character he plays of Danny is very different. He doesn't rely on technique. He just relies on brute force, and he'll be punched in the head 10 times. He doesn't care. He just keeps going. And so I really enjoyed this movie. It's got some good performances, and Morgan Freeman's always good. And I give it 3.5 beards out of 5. Next, and lastly, we're up to Q&A. And the Q&A this week, we're looking first at my buddy, my best bud, Brian Williams, asked me a question about the fact that Daniel Craig kind of gave a quote that it seems like no matter how old the man is in an action movie, the female love interest always seems to be in her 20s. And Daniel Craig just commented on this. Now, it's not always true, but I would say it's 90% true. And that, I could pick some movies where it's not, like Shoot 'Em Up has a woman that would be the right age, and she's the love interest. But they're overall, generally, especially Bond movies, most of the time the woman's in her 20s and Bond is in his 40s or 50s. And yeah, it is quite often the case that, and the reason is younger is better. And it's like that. And no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's what Hollywood thinks. Younger is always better. It's always better to do with a younger actor or a younger actress. Men, when they get older, get seasoned and get distinguished. So like George Clooney, the older he gets, the better he looks. Women, once they hit a certain age, and again, this is not me saying this is what Hollywood says. Women, they don't get better looking when they get older, generally, is what the thought is. And so they're always going for the fresh new face. And every action movie that has a guy who has a female lead, they always want the next woman who you've never seen before, so that they can be like, "Ooh, look at who we have. We don't know her." And it's pretty much true. Sad, but true. But yeah. Next, my buddy Tyra Listen wanted me to talk about the fact that he has a question: do westerns have a place in modern film landscape? And I'm going to say yes. And there's two places they have, unfortunately. One is it seems to be involved in comedies, and that saddens me because like Adam Sandler has a new movie come out about the Stupid Six. I don't know what it's called, the Diabolical or Dumb Six. And it's a Western, all about 6 guys that are related. And so, and then you have the Seth MacFarlane thing with A Million Ways to Die in the West, which was terrible. And they're comedies, but they're set in the West. They exist, and they're going to keep existing. But I think Westerns, like proper Westerns, do have a place nowadays. Quite often, like there are movies that are inspired by Westerns that people don't kind of get. But I think they definitely have a place. I just think it's nowhere as big as what they used to be and never will be again. I talked about one of my things that Westerns once were the thing. Westerns were the film archetype. Like every film coming out of Hollywood for a while was a Western. Now every film coming out of Hollywood is a superhero movie. But do they have a place in modern film? Yeah, they do. They totally do. And there's been some really good ones. Blackthorn, if you haven't seen that. It's some of the ones that are Westerns you wouldn't think are Westerns. Like even things like the Punisher movie that came out 10, 15 years back is very much a Western. It's very much a Sergio Leone Western. It's just not set in the West. So I think they have a place. I just think the good ones are going to be few and far between. But they definitely have a place. Yeah. And last question of the day is from Tim Hurley from The Late Reviews, because he's awesome again. And he wants to know what I thought the worst Blu-ray transfer was that I've seen. He thinks Dawn of the Dead is really bad. Yeah, I haven't seen too many that are terrible. I thought we watched Mrs. Doubtfire a while ago, and I noticed it wasn't really crisp and clear. It was more just like watching a DVD, which isn't bad again, but when you're watching a Blu-ray of it, you kind of want the Blu-ray experience. So, but overall, yeah, that would be it. Mrs. Doubtfire would be the worst one I've seen, yeah. So that's it for BMG Radio. I guess, again, I want to thank Tim Hurley from Late Reviews for this awesome theme. I want to thank Dan Bardo for this awesome new look. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you for just holding out for all that information. And let me know what you're going out as for Halloween, if you're going out for Halloween. I'll probably won't be going out. I'll be going out with my wife, watching a movie and going out for dinner and stuff, or vice versa. No, we won't be watching dinner and eating a movie. Well, you know what I mean. It doesn't matter. And yeah, thanks for listening. Until next time, stay birdie. And as always, your thoughts, everything.